Hey guys, what's up? This is Conrad from GOG Boxing, and we're back. Happy New Year. I've got kind of a present for you. I'm getting some help from the Masked Avenger. She is back. Of course, she's more into yoga than boxing, but that's okay because I need somebody to help me to show you some things sometimes. We're still in lockdown, can't get to the gym, is what it is. Now, what we're going to talk about today, because I've had some guys write in and say, one, you never do anything for southpaws, and I had other guys write in, you never do anything how to deal with southpaws. So I'm going to try to kill two birds with one stone. Not that I don't like birds, but anyway, try to kill two birds with one stone, and we're going to work off the lesson where we talked about how to do the shoe shine a la Hector Macho Camacho. If you don't remember that, you can go back to the video, but we talked about how he would move off, how you can move off and do a shift and go right into a shoe shine, right? Which really, what that really does is get you right into a position to throw fast uppercuts. Now, Camacho, for some people, is kind of controversial. They didn't like the crazy outfits in the 80s, but really you couldn't deny this guy's footwork or hand speed. And let's talk about one of the things he did, which is a little dirty. And actually some of you asked, do you have any cool dirty tricks to show? This is a little dirty. It's a little bit on the edge, and you can make it dirty or make it more clean and get away with it. But I'll show you what he was doing first, and then we'll talk about, because he was fighting as a southpaw, and I'll show you what he was doing with orthodox fighters. Then we'll turn around and what can you do if you're an orthodox fighter, and how would you use that against a southpaw. So one of the things he would do, if the Masked Avenger has her guard up, and let's say I'm Hector Macho Camacho. Now, he moved a lot. He really had a lot of footwork. And he would fake little jabs and then he would shoot jabs. But a lot of times what would happen is, he was so fast, even against really good pros, he would catch him off guard. But when he threw that left-handed jab, what happened? Yeah, it's people, they would raise their guard to try to stop it. Sometimes he would throw it and kind of hook him like that or come down on him. Now, at this point, what you can do, now look what happens. What a lot of guys will do, especially if they're a southpaw fighting an orthodox fighter or the other way around, is when they throw it, they'll try to throw their backhand, the other guy, and you'll wind up coming in and you'll be right on top of each other in a clinch, right? Maybe the ref gets in between you. Now Camacho, he didn't like that. He liked to hit people with speed from the outside, and he loved throwing uppercuts. So what would he do? He would throw that jab, and it might get blocked or not, but then he would use this as a leverage to do what? Now we're getting back into our bumps and shifts. To shift out to this way, out to this side, right? At this point, he would start throwing these crazier uppercuts, or he might throw a hook. Now Camacho, once he threw a hook, he might shift back out to the other side and start here. He just moves so well. But let's talk about how this really works, okay? If I'm a southpaw going against an orthodox, a lot of guys, until you're more advanced, when you're a southpaw and you fight orthodox fighters, you do have an advantage, because what happens is they're not used to this. You're coming from this side, right? They're not used to it. So when you start throwing those jabs from this side, they sometimes they'll raise their hand too high, or they'll close up into like rabbit ears like that. So if you can close up, put your on like that on your head, well, that's good enough. Now, what you can do at this point, you don't have to. Now, you could do the Lomachenko type move where you come out and you're way out here on this side. But a lot of times what would happen is Camacho, he'd get his hand on the other guy's shoulder, and he would he could press down, or in fact, they might even, let's say they got their arms crossed up. So now you put your hand here. They got kind of tangled up. Now at this time, what happens? People a lot of times don't know what to do. What he would do at this time, he would shift out and he could punch up. Shift away from that punch. Or he would simply have it on top. And what you do, if you press down on that shoulder, when you shift out, he can't pivot, or the Masked Avenger, she can't pivot, right? And you can throw these uppercuts. And in fact, you're already behind. You're in an ideal position at that point. You're getting behind. You can throw these uppercuts. If she tried to turn for this hand to me like this, whoop, not so far, like this, right? I can still keep moving back here. Now, actually, what Camacho would do is he would get here, he would shift out, throw the uppercuts. He might throw a hook, and then he's coming out, and he's on the other side. But let's keep it simple. So if we're here, you throw it out, you can press down. Now, if you hook the back of the head to do it, the ref's going to call you for that. No, you don't say it. If you hook the back of the head on it, the ref's going to call you for hooking and holding. But you can get away with that. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to do, especially if you're a southpaw, because these orthodox guys, if they're not used to the southpaw, if you throw a double jab at them, a lot of them are going to close up just like that. They close up like that. Hold it, put your guard up again. They close up like that, and you get your hand on them like that. One, you might hit them in the ear. It's easy. You press down. It's like the bump we talked about. You press down, you come out, and you got uppercuts. Now, what happens if you're an orthodox fighter? Okay, stay in the same position. Stay in the same position. Okay. Now, the problem is with an orthodox fighter, you can't use it against an orthodox fighter like that. Now, I can show you something that you can do in a minute. But if we're here like that, now throw a jab, straighten your hand at my chin. And I throw a jab, and let's say we cross our jabs here. If I try to open up this way, I'm giving the back of my head to the Masked Avenger, right? It's not going to be good. The best thing would be is if I come out this way. So don't think about it as if you're an orthodox fighter fighting an orthodox. Unless, put your hands up again. You bump in here in the clinch, you know, and sometimes you might be like here in the clinch. At that point, you can de facto open out to this side. But that's not really the same move. Okay, that's not really the same move. Okay? Now, but let's talk about what happens if you're on the other side, okay? You're an orthodox fighter and you're fighting a southpaw, right? So stand like that and put your hands up. Now, what happens? We are back. You can use the same Camacho move. The only problem is this. Lots of orthodox fighters, even if they're not that advanced, they're not going to necessarily fold up and be so intimidated by this jab hand because they deal with it all the time. That's what they do. Now when you're an orthodox fighter and you've got the southpaw coming at you, a lot of guys, they're not used to it. They tend to they make mistakes. They're not used to that right-handed jab. But the southpaws, they are used to it, right? So when if I'm trying to pull the same move on them, what I may get is his backhand just right in the face before I do anything, because he actually is so used to facing guys like me, he's not intimidated by it at all, and it may be, unless I'm fast and have good footwork, you don't want to set yourself up just to get a straight backhand right down on the chin, okay? Now, so what do you do? Well, this is what I do. This is one thing you can do. A lot of southpaws, what they don't like is your right hand. They don't like it, okay? So if we're standing here, instead of trying to pull that Camacho move, at least right off, where I'm going to try to jab him a couple of times and maybe come out, because he may just turn right with me and smack me with it, because he's so used to seeing an orthodox fighter trying to get outside of that foot anyway, right? What I like to do, and I've been successful with even last year at getting ready for a fight night, I had to spar this huge southpaw, and he had size on me and he had reach on me, and something that would work on him would be exactly what I'm going to show you now. If we're standing like this, instead of playing patty cake with this lead hand or trying to pull that move I'm talking about, use this back hand. But you don't, unless you're really fast or really good, you don't necessarily want to try to slip inside and use it from here. What I want to do is target this hip or just above this hip. Now, it's not the liver, it's not the solar plexus, but look what happens. Here we are, and don't move, I'm not gonna, okay. So here we are, I'm faking, but then if at the same time I step and I lean to throw the right, but I'm stepping forward, I'm going right here on this hip. It's amazing how many times, and you can wait for them to want to jab to do that. It's amazing how many times that spot's vulnerable, and it does a couple of things. Even if I just hit right above the hip right there, it keeps them from moving, from pivoting, and it also hurts. But look what happens. I throw this hip, look where I am right here. Now, my next natural move could be, now, we've talked a lot about, you throw a punch and you go to the other side. Not this time, though. throw it here. My next natural move could be a hook, but this punch is probably coming. So what I want to do is I'll throw this here, and then I'm going to come out to this side. It's like the reverse Loma move, except I'm not starting with the jab. I'm starting here, and then I'm out to this side. Now, a lot of times at that point, we might crash together if I mistime it, and here we are. You know what you do then? Get one glove on his shoulder, step out. Now, you see where he is? See where she is? When I do that, when I get that glove up on that shoulder, because I threw this here, but we crashed together this time. I didn't get it clean. If I throw it clean and I come out, then I'm in a great spot. But if we crash together, right, here we are. Now, a lot of times what you'll want to do is maybe grab hold. Don't grab hold. Just get this glove up so you're protecting your face. You're pressing down on the shoulder, and you're stepping out. Okay? I'm telling you, it'll work. If I can do it, if I've made it work against young guys a lot bigger than me, and against the Mastiff Avenger, then it'll work. Okay? That's probably enough. I hope that's clear. If you want to practice this and it's a lockdown, you're by yourself, if you have a heavy bag, what you can do is chain the heavy bag a little bit lower than you would so that the top's right there, and you can practice throwing and just get your hand sitting, you can jab and then get your hand right on top of that heavy bag and shift out, or if you're a southpaw, right from the other way. Do the same thing. And you can practice it like that if you don't have a partner, you don't have anybody to spar with, whatever. But I hope those are things you can play with. I think you'll find that they work if you pull them off. If you don't pull them off, you might get hit right in the nose, but that's just boxing. All right? So I hope you like that. Like, subscribe, come back. One day this lockdown will end, but as for now, Happy New Year from Conrad and the Mastiff Avenger, over and out, and see you soon.